It's the most wonderful time of the year. That's right, the college football bowl season is here, and the action has already kicked off with the Bahamas Bowl featuring Miami of Ohio and UAB. Mark Schofield is an NFL reporter for SB Nation, and he's ranked all 43 college football bowl games by watchability, and he's on the line with us now. Mark, I'm loving it. I love the article. But let's start with this weekend. Which games should fans tune into?
Well, Brandon, thanks so much for having me. And I'm glad you were the one that chose to sin and not me, because nobody needs to hear me sinning right now. But we got 43 games ranked, myself and JP Acosta over at SB Nation. The wonderful JP Acosta was so brilliant. We put these together. Games you want to keep an eye on this weekend. We can start with the Celebration Bowl between Jackson State and NC Central. This is going to be Deion Sanders' last game at Jackson State before taking the job at Colorado. It's a chance to see his last game. It's also a chance to see his quarterback, his son, Shedeur Sanders, who's a legitimate Heisman Trophy candidate, I think, next year when he goes to Colorado with his father, one of the most productive quarterbacks at the FCS level last year. So that's a game to watch. The Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl on Saturday at 3:30. You're going to want to check this one out as well. Why? Two fantastic quarterbacks. You've got Jake Haener from Fresno State, tough, gritty quarterback, had a great comeback against UCLA a season ago, already committed to playing the Senior Bowl. So he's going to be in the draft conversation next spring. And perhaps the spring following that, Cameron Ward at Washington State, transfer from Incarnate Word at the FCS level, his first year in the FBS, very productive, 23 touchdowns, just 8 interceptions. And then a little bit later today on Friday, you have the Duluth Trade-In Cure Bowl, UTSA versus Troy. It's one of our favorite games this entire bowl season. Two top 25 teams. UTSA's offense, it's a top 15 scoring offense in the nation going up against Troy's defense, which is a top 10 scoring defense. That game's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
All right, looks like we got some pretty solid college football games going down before the World Cup and before NFL Sunday. So what are some of your least favorite games to watch?
Right, and we can kick that off with the Trans-Perfect Music City Bowl between Iowa and Kentucky. We love these bowl games and the sponsor names, but this was last on our list, and for good reason, Brandon, because the over-under at this game is currently 31.5. Expect that to dip. Kentucky quarterback Will Levis, who's in the mix for QB1 come the draft, he's already decided to opt out of this game. So you're going to have a Kentucky offense without its starting quarterback. Iowa's offense, 122nd in the nation in scoring this year, averaging just 17.9 points per game. If you're a fan of offense, you don't want to watch this game. Now, if you like hard-nosed defensive football, you might want to tune in. This game is New Year's Eve at noon, but it's one that we think you should probably avoid. Then there's the Lendon Tree Bowl between Rice and Southern Miss. Why do you want to miss this one? This is Saturday at 5:45 Eastern. Rice is the only team with a losing record that made a bowl this year. Southern Miss, one of many teams with just a 6-6 record. Rice's 5 wins, one of those came against McNeese State. They lost to USC by a 66-14 score. They lost to UTSA, who we just talked about, by 41-7. Probably a game to avoid. And then there's the guaranteed rate bowl. Yeah, the guaranteed rate bowl between Wisconsin and Oklahoma State, December 27th at 10:45 p.m. Both starting quarterbacks, they've already entered the transfer portal, so don't expect too much from the offenses in this one.
Okay, I was dozing off before I interrupted you, not because of your delivery, because of the teams you mentioned and some of the players that have already foregone that college bowl game. So let's get excited. What are some of the games that we should be glued to the TV for as college football fans?
Absolutely, the 2 semifinal games, right? Because they're playoff games. They're going to decide who's playing for the national championship. The first one you're going to see is that TCU Michigan game. Max Duggan, Heisman semifinalist, the quarterback for TCU against Michigan. Obviously, that game is going to be very important, a lot of fun to watch. But then the game that night between Georgia and Ohio State. This is one of our favorite games because, look, you get C.J. Stroud, the quarterback at Ohio State, a chance for a little bit of redemption. 2 losses to Michigan the past 2 seasons, but he gets a chance to play again for a national title against a stout Georgia defense. That includes Jalen Carter, one of the best draft prospects in the upcoming class, the interior defensive tackle. You're also going to get a fantastic matchup. Keely Ringo, the corner at Georgia, gets Marvin Harrison Jr., the wide receiver for Ohio State. That game's a lot of fun to watch. We mentioned that UTSA versus Troy game, which is Friday at 3 in the afternoon on the East Coast. A great offense in UTSA versus a fantastic defense for Troy, one of the best in the nation. That was actually number 4 on our list. We're very excited about that one. And then number 8 on our list, The AutoZone Liberty Bowl between a pair of 6-6 teams, Arkansas and Kansas. Why is this game going to be fun if you watch it? The two quarterbacks, Jalen Daniels from Kansas, KJ Jefferson from Arkansas, two dynamic talents, dual threats at the quarterback position, very fantastic players to watch. And of course, the national championship game, right? January 9th, Monday night. Whoever comes out of those two games to meet in the national championship game, it's the biggest game of the year, certainly one you want to tune in for.
It's crazy how we only have a couple more weeks of college football left. It seems like the season just started. I didn't hear my school UMass in there, but that's all right. Next year we're taking it
Next year, my friend. Next year.
We want Bama. All right.
There
Mark,
you go.
Mark, thanks for joining us, my man.
Thanks so much. Enjoy the games, everyone.